Welcome, everyone, to the Ohio Fly Tying Guild. I'm Gary Begley. Thanks for joining us. The Guild is a function of Buckeye United Fly Fishers, my local club in Cincinnati, and it is in conjunction with Fly Fishers International, the Ohio Council, where I'm a tying director. Now, that said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Got two flies planned. I'm changing things up a little bit this time. I've been tying a lot of dries and nymphs, size 14, size 12. I'm going to tie, both flies are going to be size 6 tonight, small streamers. So, and as always, if anyone has a question or a comment, just speak up. You don't need to worry about wait until I'm finished tying, even if I'm tying, not a problem. In fact, I think a lot of times questions about fly tying are better asked in the moment. So, that said, let me show you the first fly. It is a Slumpbuster. It's a John Barr pattern. He is the guy that came up with the Copper John, among many other flies, for that matter. Like I said, it's on size 6, and it's pine squirrel. Both the tail section, the body, and the collar are all pine squirrel. We do have a little bit of an underbody down there. So I'm going to get this out, get a new hook and device, and get started. This is a TMC 5263. And basically, any kind of thread is going to work just fine. Got some olive here. I'll start off with it. Now I'm going to start things off backwards. I'm going to start the thread on the rear portion of the hook. I'll stop shy of the cone. Got to have room to wrap that collar. The body material is Krystal flashed. Sparkle braid. I'm sorry, it's sparkle braid. I have some diamond braid, and frankly, these two look like almost identical materials. The one that says flat diamond is a little bit flatter, but once I wrap it around the hook, flatten out anyway. So I want to tie almost on streamers. I like to tie in more than one material at a time when I can. So I'm also going to tie in the small. I'm sorry, it's brassie size copper wire for a rib. I like the wire to end up on the lower part of these two. Back to the hook barb. Now my pine squirrel. This is natural color. You could tie it on any color. You're only limited by the colors that you happen to have. Olive is a good one. Black could work. White. You can get one that's dyed that color. I want a hook shank length plus maybe a quarter. What? In other words, I'll call it 1 1/4 hook shank. Length for the tail. Some good tight wraps here. Put my thread through the hairs on the hide. I'm going to thread forward. Body material wrapped. Right there. I like to use my bodkin through the hair to get this parted. And my thread counterclockwise so it'll cooperate. It'll lay right against my thumbnail and right down where I want it. Right up front, out of the way. Okay, we're going to wrap the rib. I'm going to take my bodkin and try to do this so you guys can see what's going on. Separate those and run this through as though we would normally tie a rib. Pull good and tight. Get another part a little ways up. The next,
Gary, you about 1/4 inch apart on each one of those wraps?
as far as the wire,
Yes.
no, quarter. It's a little bit. It's less than 1/4 inch, and as you can tell, they're not perfectly equal. I'm trying to simulate as though I would just wrap this as a rib. One more. Couple wraps right there help secure that. No, I'd rather cut wire than try to helicopter it off, and I don't use my good scissors. You get a pair of scissors I refer to as utility scissors. Snip that off. Now I just need to wrap this. As long as everything is laying correctly here, I believe it is. And wrap this behind the thread. Gotta make sure it doesn't twist on you. It needs to be tight up against the home. Thread wiggles through the hair. Again. Now, what Mr. Barr does and what he suggests is to leave just a little bit of this tag, put some gel super glue up inside the cone, and then push the tag of pine squirrel up inside there. Now, when I use super glue, I glue something together that shouldn't be glued together every time. and my camera lens is about 5 inches from this. So I'm going to skip that part. And just go to the wet finish. Okay. There is a Slumpbuster.
Gary,
Signed to
that
be-
is a killer on the Yellowstone River in Montana.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, good. Yeah, it was designed as a trout pattern, but it works great on my local smallmouth.
What if you did that with rabbit?
I'm thinking that the hairs are probably a lot longer.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Al, but I think that's the case.
No, you're
And,
right. And I've tried it both ways and it works real well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would think what comes to my mind, I would probably have a longer hook.
Do those Zonker strips come that narrow? Those are pretty narrow looking.
Yes. Yeah. These, I think they're about 1/8 of an inch. There's my pine squirrel that's zonked. Yeah, they're about 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, I think you can get Magnum, they call it, which is much thicker, which I think they're about 1/4 inch. So it just depends on what size you need for what you're tying.
Yeah, I've taken the rabbit strips and cut them, narrowed them down. And it's kind of nice to see them that narrow.
Yeah. Move on to fly number 2. This one has a lot of components, but it's a real good fly.
Gary, I do have a question about the Slumpbuster.
Go ahead.
How does that swim through the water? Does the hook go up or down, or does it matter?
It's the type of fly that it's going to come pretty much straight. If you stop it, you can utilize the jigging action with it, and that will well for both of these flies actually. Marabou tail is going to be on the second one, and weight up front like that, you can get a lot of good movement out of the tail section. And the way I fish it, I'll usually go across the stream and let it go to the bottom, and then start raising my rod tip maybe 5-6 inches and strip about the same amount and let it go back down again. So it's basically like a crayfish hop or a jigging motion. Anybody else fish them any differently?
Gary, what are you simulating there? What is it?
It's a minnow imitation. That's what it's designed
Okay.
to be.
Okay.
Sorry.
No
Gary,
problem.
that rabbit fur, like you're talking about, it is long. The hairs that I use are longer, and it kind of works like a big woolly burger with big tail on it. That hair's moving every which direction and really seeks them out.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of good movement, and you got the option of working it as though you're the puppeteer and it's a puppet, and you can get a lot of real good action out of it. And the same goes for the next pattern, which is a bronze goddess. This has dumbbell eye set. Rod's pretty much upside down, hook pulled up. If you notice, the eye set is burgundy color. Well, I painted it. That's supposed to be between that and bronze mallard, which I've got mallard flanks instead. The coloration is supposed to be, according to the literature I've read on it, is supposed to be the secret of this fly. Frankly, I think it's like a real good version of a woolly booger. A lot of good movement in the tail, especially again with the weight up front. and there's a lot of good movement in this collar. I have done real well with them. As far as painting those, let me switch over to this other camera. And fingernail, just plain old fingernail polish color, burgundy color. And got the eye set that's painted. And I worked up this little jig to hold 5 of them in there, and you could just go through with the brush on the fingernail polish and just get a good coat on there on the other side too. And then in order to let things dry, hold it. I've got my beadsers actually. They're essentially tweezers, and they work backwards. They're spring loaded to close, so I can just close it like that. Paint all 5 of them, both sides, sit it down, and walk away and come back and it's dry. This will fish just fine, frankly, but without them being painted. So, get that out. Get back over here.
Is there a certain color, Gary, you like on your eyes?
It's a burgundy color. Let's see, what did I use? I found something that my wife felt sorry for me and gave me. It's Sally Hansen's Insta Dry. And it's number 19. Any similarity to a burgundy color, maroon, whatever, I'm sure it's going to work just fine. Okay, the hook is again size 6. What's recommended is 200R TMC. It's the ones that's got the it's like curvature in the hook shank, which I think helps it a little more disturbance in the water, perhaps. Burgundy painted eye set. I'm going to use a brown thread. Again, it doesn't matter. If you think about it, if you look at most flies, not all, but most, you don't see the color of the thread until you get to the head. All right, I want this about a hook eye and a half width behind the eye. Be about right there. If you've not seen me do this before, the way I like to do it is somewhat of a figure 8 twice, and then I go around twice to cinch those straps together. So I'm on top of the hook, under the hook eye, on top of the hook, under the hook eye, twice, pull tight, and then I do it again. Do it total 3 times. And if you insist on putting some super glue on there, go right ahead. I'll be honest with you, I don't. Really doesn't have to be touching turns. Started doing that out of habit. All right, I'm gonna go back to the hook point once I get situated. A little flash, got some Krystal flash. Show you the way I like to handle my Krystal flash. Comes in the package like so, stapled together up top. And you got to be careful if you take it out of the package, it's going to turn into just a knotted mess. I cut this one little corner out of the package. That way I can pull it however many I want out. And it works well for me. I want 3 of these. Find the approximate center, not necessary to be exact at all. Wrap it around. Material. And there's my flash. Now remember, this is going to right hook point up, so the flash is going to be down at the bottom, floating around. Under the marabou tail. Maybe something with marabou. You get some real nice ones, real nice wispy ones, soft stem way up. You get some that's real stiff, like these two. The stems are real stiff. The ricus, I should be calling it, is all the way up to here. Stiff. What I like to do, if it was smaller one, you could pull this together like that, and you can come up with a tail, a decent woolly booger tail. But look at all of the all this good material back here that I would be cutting away and wasting. So what I like to do is kind of build my own marabou tail. Pull this off. Gather another bunch, line up the tips somewhat. Doesn't have to be exact here again. I think I'm going to add just a little bit more. Okay. We'll add it from this end. That looks much better. A lot of good movement. You don't have this stiff stem sticking through there to keep it from moving real well. All right, I want the tail be about a hook shank and a quarter long, tied in here, of course. And my thread counterclockwise, so it'll cooperate with me. Come up right to my finger. We'll find real good tight turns. Now, I'm going to go ahead and trim these pieces of flash. So won't be in my way. I want them to be different length, but all of them a little bit longer than the tail. Now, I want to tie this down, this extra material, bind it down so it is going to build up a little bit of bulk for the underbody. I could start wrapping it and hold it and wrap it and twist it around, but what I like to do is just come forward with my thread. And just give it just a slight twist. Lay it down. There's where I want to tie it in. Trim some of the excess off. If I don't get cut, I'll bind down with the thread. Carefully so I don't cut the thread. Really no point in me cutting that off. Those frizzes off. It's all going to be bound down well anyway. All right, so I got three things I'm going to tie in and go forward with them. Build the body. And I want to tie them in so the component that we're going to use last gets tied in first. It's going to be the wire. We're going to have a wire rib on this one. And I have a hackle. It's supposed to be barred, but I don't have any, so I'm going to tie in a brown one. It works just fine. And then we need the body material. Like I tie in all chenille. I'll get rid of these extra. And bind in just the string. Things are good and tight back here all the way back to the barb. The flash was the last thing I tied in, so it's the first to start wrapping. Last turn I want in front of the thread, so all I have to do to tie it off is come up. Like that right there. I'm not gonna cut this off. I'm gonna use some more of that in just a bit. Now my hackle, notice I tied it in by the tip. It's gonna get thicker as we go, so to speak. The barbs will be taller at the front end as opposed to the rear.
Gary, you're counter wrapping that, right?
No, this feather I am wrapping like normal over top of the hook shank and away from me. And unlike the last fly, if I remember, I'm going to counter wrap the wire. This one I'm going to counter wrap. Wire cut off. Grade around my thread up front first. Grade around the eye set and up front. Actually, the thing I forgot to tie in the hackle. the mallard flank. But I can back up a little bit and make that happen. What I've done is pulled the tip out, pulled some of the barbs back, and taken the ones off the side that I'm going to wrap it. Pull those back. Let's leave the oversized hackle, but that's for the collar, but that's what the pattern calls for. Thread forward. Flash tied off. Build up somewhat of a head. And we'll finish. Now, this mallard flank, I like to brush it out, brush it forward, brush it back to the back. And that gets a lot of those fibers that were stuck together opened up. So there's the gilt version of a bronze goddess. And like I say, it rides, for the most part, hook point up. Any questions or comment?
It's a good looking fly.
I thought so. And it fishes well. It's I'll call it a woolly booger on steroids. How's that? It's got the dumbbell eyes, and it's got the extra collar with the mallard and some extra flash. But basically, it's a woolly booger. Yeah. And you can't knock woolly boogers because they catch fish like crazy.
Yeah, you say that normally fishes hook up, right?
For the most part. Where the eye set is tied in similar to a Clouser minnow. So there's some much other material on there. It kind of works with it, and it's not as hook point up as a Clouser, I'll say. But the way I like to strip it and jig it and fish it, like I explained earlier, it's going to end up going all over the place anyway, which will give it a lot of action.
So one of the ways I do with to save that extra woolly bugger is take those side pieces and put them between your forefinger and your second finger, just like a barb will hold your hair when you're snipping it. If you had hair, not like me, but then you just snip it off the shaft that way, and you hold it up, and then you can just pull it all together that way. It just your work technique probably works as good, if not better, but just snip it off that way.
There's a lot of different techniques to accomplish the same thing with fly tying. What it comes down to is what you settle on, what your personal preference.
Yeah.
Hey, Gary, do you tie these about 20 times throughout the week? So you're ready for us?
I didn't tie 20 of them. What'd I tie? Looks like I got about 7 of them. I still got the materials out. I'll tie some more.
What I always say is, I'm going to get your opinion on this. I tell my club members this: when you go to learn to tie, you pick 5 flies that you love to fish and learn how to tie them, because all of a sudden you're going to get a fly box full of stuff that you never use again.
That's a good possibility. Good point. Um, I end up tying a lot more than what I fish because you think about it. I've done the guild now. This is number 11. I did what we called a tie and lie online for 3 years prior, and either 2 or 3 flies on the tie and lie, which was 12 years. Add that up. Do you guys fish that many different patterns? No, neither do I. All right.